Welcome to a journey of discovery, a captivating stroll through the enchanting streets leading to the magnificent St. Jan. Picture the charm of Ridderstraat, Hindhammerstraat and Kolperstraat. These aren't just thoroughfares, they are vibrant lifelines, pulsating with a unique blend of history, culture and commerce. Each street is a world unto itself, a delightful maze filled with independent businesses that add character and resist the homogenization seen in many cities. These streets are a testament to diversity, to the idea that variety enriches our shopping experience and enhances the livability of a city. Imagine walking down Kerkstraat, a street that, as the name suggests, leads from Pensmarkt right up to the cathedral. Along this street, a rather humorous paradox exists. A second church sits in the same street on the church square. This is a Reformed church, simpler in design compared to the grandeur of St. Jan. This square is a lively hub, hosting concerts spanning various genres. Picture the excitement of jazz in Duketown or the concert of the Dutch folk song, both examples of the vibrant cultural life that thrives here. The steps of the Reformed church paint a vivid tableau of daily life. They provide a gathering spot for young and old alike, often engaged in lengthy discussions about life. Street musicians, loitering youth and society's fringe find a sense of belonging here. This might be seen as an issue by some. For others, it's a reminder of the diverse fabric of society and the reality of a hardened society. Now, envision reaching the point near the post office where the imposing silhouette of St. Jan becomes clearly visible at the end of the street. It's at this moment that the grandeur of the parade, the large square nestled by St. Jan and ringed with tall trees, unfolds itself. Despite the many parked cars, this square exudes a bohemian vibe. The beautiful casino on the parade offers ample opportunity for a great show or a grand party. As a resident of S-Hertogenbosch, one can't help but recall the festive celebrations, the vibrant carnivals from childhood to adulthood. The memories of company New Year's parties and even a Santa Claus party held in the concert hall, the predecessor of the current casino, come flooding back. In summary, the journey to St. Jan isn't just a simple walk, it's an exploration of diverse streets, each with its unique charm. From the bustling Ridderstraat, Hindhammerstraat and Kolperstraat, filled with independent businesses, to the cultural hub of Kerkstraat, these streets offer a rich tapestry of experiences. They are a testament to the charm and uniqueness of the city, a testament to the vibrant life that pulses in the streets leading to St. Jan.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to live in the heart of a medieval city? Imagine residing in S-Hertogenbosch, a city that carries its history in every nook and cranny. Welcome to the world of Tom, a resident of this captivating city who will guide us through the charm and allure of S-Hertogenbosch. Tom resides in a 3-bedroom apartment nestled in a narrow side street in the city center. His ground floor apartment offers a unique feature, a small garden, a rare luxury in the medieval heart of the city. Here he indulges in the simple pleasures of life, a good book and a glass of wine, surrounded by the tranquility of his meticulously maintained garden. His abode, a reconstructed 15th century mansion, carries whispers of the past. The echoes of hooves and the voice of a horseman are rumored to reverberate through the stone corridor. While Tom dismisses these as mere tales, he acknowledges that every building in S-Hertogenbosch has its story, some stranger than others. The city is a treasure trove of unsolved mysteries, hauntings, and undiscovered cellars beneath the market square. The stories that unravel in S-Hertogenbosch are as intriguing as its history. The city's remarkable Gothic cathedral, a global monument, is a testament to its rich past. Yet it's not just about the past. The city is also a blend of the future, where modern urban architects and administrators are delicately balancing the preservation of cultural heritage and the need for modernization. S-Hertogenbosch, a true fortress city, boasts of the Diez, a river that flows under and through the city, attracting a plethora of tourists post-restoration. The city is also the birthplace of the world-renowned artist Jeroen Bosch, adding another layer to its historical charm. The city's heart beats with the rhythm of the lively Brabant lifestyle. The numerous pubs, restaurants, and bustling terraces on the market square make it a delightful place to dwell. Tom relishes the weekday hustle and the Sunday serenity, the latter marked by the beautiful sound of church bells. Among the city's many churches, the St. Jan, a majestic Gothic church, stands tall, seemingly untouched by time. But even this timeless monument has seen restoration, evident in its renewed tower and restored sculptures. To summarize, our journey through Hertogenbosch, as seen through the eyes of its resident Tom, reveals a city that beautifully marries its rich history with the promise of the future. It's a city that celebrates its past, cherishes its cultural heritage, and embraces the vibrancy of modern life. A city where each building has a tale to tell and every street echoes with the charm of yesteryears. From the bustling market square to the tranquil Sunday mornings, Hertogenbosch is not just a city, it's a living, breathing chronicle of times gone by and times yet to come.
What if I told you that a storm could alter the course of one's life, or that a single decision could mean the difference between safety and chaos? Welcome to a tale of hurricanes and the unpredictable nature of life itself. Our story starts in 1992, a year that saw one of the most devastating hurricanes in American history, Hurricane Andrew. Tom, a Dutch tourist, found himself in the eye of this storm while on vacation in Florida. What started as a dream holiday, complete with sandy beaches and a planned trip to Disneyland, quickly turned into a nightmare. Not familiar with the concept of hurricanes, having come from the Netherlands where such things are unheard of, Tom initially dismissed the hurricane warnings that were broadcasted on radio and television. However, the reality of the situation quickly dawned on him as he learned of the winds that could reach up to an unthinkable 320 kilometers per hour. A quick decision had to be made. Tom, along with another Dutch couple, decided to move to Orlando, a city 500 kilometers away. This decision was driven not just by the impending hurricane, but also by the fact that they had pre-booked a trip to Orlando and already possessed the vouchers for their hotels there. In a twist of fate, the decision to move turned out to be a blessing in disguise. The family found themselves safe and sound, and the vacation turned out to be one of the most memorable ones they had ever had. The theme parks of Orlando, including Disneyland, Universal Studios, and the Epcot Center, ensured that the memories of the hurricane were soon replaced by joy and laughter. Fast forward to the present day, where Tom watches another hurricane ravaging Florida on the news. He is reminded of his own experience and realizes the good fortune they had back then. It's a stark reminder that life often hangs in the balance of decisions made in the face of adversity. In the same news broadcast, there's a story about Peter R. de Vries, a crime journalist with an excellent track record. Beloved by the Dutch population, Peter has exposed numerous injustices through his television program. His sense of justice and values led him to establish a new political party, filling a vacuum left by the passing of Pim Fortuyn. Life, as we see, is an unpredictable journey. It's a dance between chaos and order, between adversity and fortune. It's about making decisions in the face of storms, literal or otherwise, and finding joy amidst the turmoil. So the next time you find yourself in the middle of a storm, remember Tom's story, and perhaps take a moment to explore the unpredictable nature of life a little further. Who knows, you might just find a story worth telling.
Have you ever wondered how deep the rabbit hole of conspiracy theories goes? Today, we delve into the fascinating world of Frank Verhofstadt, a man whose life has been dedicated to unraveling the mysteries of the world. Frank, a charismatic presenter at a local radio station, has recently embarked on a new venture, a gaming show. His enthusiasm and unique perspective have already garnered a positive response from the audience. But behind the microphone, Frank is more than just a radio host. He's a man with a curiosity for the unexplained and the extraordinary. From a young age, Frank was captivated by the theories surrounding the assassinations of J.F. Kennedy and his brother. His fascination with the idea of a global conspiracy to combat Islam, led by the Americans and supported by their European allies, has been a constant thread throughout his life. He believes that these grand plans are often shrouded in shadowy dealings, adding to their intrigue. Frank's theories extend beyond global politics. He was convinced that Pim Fortuyn, a Dutch politician, was the victim of an international conspiracy. His beliefs stem from a movie by Theo van Gogh, but for Frank, there was more to the story. Fortuyn's opposition to a land army, his preference for a traditional navy built by Dutch companies, and his sexuality, which Frank theorized would have been a point of contention for George Bush, all played into this complex web of conspiracy. But Frank's theories aren't limited to politics. He's also been working on a theory that explains string theory as a science, not a theological concept. Dubbed the Circle of Life, Frank has often discussed this theory with his friend David Vasari, a fellow researcher based in London. Frank's mind is a whirlwind of ideas and theories. He believes that David has learned a lot from watching television programs, even going so far as to claim that he could perform brain surgery based on what he's seen on TV. Frank argues that combining the knowledge available on the internet and television can empower individuals to achieve things previously thought impossible. However, despite his wealth of theories, Frank has yet to put his grand plan into action. His current focus is on his radio show, as he hopes to build credibility with the station's management. To sum up, Frank Verhofstadt is a man of many beliefs. A man whose theories, whether you believe them or not, undoubtedly spark intrigue and debate. His curious mind and relentless pursuit of the truth have made him a fascinating figure in the world of conspiracy theories. His impact on his listeners is profound, challenging them to question the world around them and look beyond what they see on the surface. The world, according to Frank, is a place full of mysteries waiting to be unraveled.
Have you ever wondered about the blurred lines between reality and the virtual world? With the advent of immersive video games, this boundary seems to be dissolving more than ever. Imagine this. A gentleman, let's call him Tom, is engrossed in a game called Brothers in Arms, a first-person shooter that puts you right into the shoes of a soldier on the battlefield. He's aware that this very technology trains real soldiers for actual combat. But for him, it's an adrenaline-fueled escape, a chance to experience the thrill of danger without the actual risk. Now picture him tuning into his favourite radio show presented by Frank. On the show tonight, there's an unexpected guest, Officer Ben Bancher, the Chief Prosecutor of Hertogenbosch. The conversation tonight veers towards the intersection of virtual and actual realities. You see, video games have evolved to a point where they can replicate reality in a startlingly accurate manner. They can provide a taste of what it's like to be a race car driver, score a goal in the Champions League, or even be a war hero. But there's a catch. The reality isn't a game, it's not a realm where you can hit restart when things go wrong. This is the crux of the conversation tonight. The very technology that provides an exciting escape for our friend Tom is also used to train soldiers for real-life combat, soldiers who may not all make it back home. The show ends on a high note with a track from The Killer's Midnight Show, filling the airwaves as Tom lights another cigarette and contemplates the discussion he just listened to. In conclusion, the virtual world offers a tantalizing taste of experiences and emotions that were once out of reach for most. But it's crucial to remember that no matter how immersive the game, reality waits on the other side. And in reality, there are no do-overs. Remember, the line between the virtual and the real is there for a reason. As we navigate this digital age, it's more important than ever to recognize and respect that boundary. So game on, but keep one foot grounded in reality. Because at the end of the day, life isn't a game. And there's no such thing as game over in the real world. This wraps up our discussion for today. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep playing. But don't forget, reality is no game.
Tonight, in part 2 of our broadcast, presenter E.J. Simpson is in conversation with Frank Verhofstadt and the Bosch public prosecutor, Mr. Ben Bancher. E.J. Welcome, dear listeners, to this new episode of Game Over. Tonight, I am once again in conversation with Frank Verhofstadt and an unexpected guest. Mr. Bleeker, our gamer, is unfortunately unable to join us tonight due to a harmless flu, but hopes to be back next week. Given the recent developments, we thought it would be a good idea to focus more on current affairs tonight. As a local broadcaster, it is our duty to keep you informed of the latest developments, and we also feel it is our responsibility to provide you with the necessary information. That is why we have a live conversation with Mr. Ben Bancher, the Bosch Chief Public Prosecutor. But first, let's welcome Frank, who will try to explain the conversation with Mr. Bancher tonight. But first, a nice song. Music, Midnight Show, The Killers. E.J. Frank, as mentioned, we are talking about the current situation this week, arising from the arrest 2 weeks ago of Mr. A.D. and Mr. H.D. Frank, well, E.J., indeed a topic we should take a moment to discuss. First of all, the spectacular raid carried out by the National Arrest Team and the arrest of both suspects. In the entire history of Den Bosch, we have never seen such an arrest. E.J. Are you referring to the way it happened, or the discoveries made during this arrest? Frank, I'm talking about the whole case. As I said, we have never seen anything like this in Den Bosch. The arrest itself, which led to the evacuation of 4 blocks, is unprecedented. The way the police deployed their equipment and personnel can be considered quite spectacular. The noise and the intimidating spotlights of the helicopters and armored vehicles wouldn't have been out of place in an American movie. EJ. But it seems that there was no other way to handle this arrest. Frank. Okay, but the whole spectacle was very impressive and frightening for the other residents of the neighborhood. EJ. That's true. And when you also hear the audio recordings from our Boschtian reporting team, it gives you a very strange feeling. Frank. Especially for the children, who were abruptly woken up during this operation and were taken out of their homes in their pajamas and transported to a so-called safe area on the same night. EJ, we will play a fragment of this during the broadcast, and indeed, when you hear these recordings, you feel a sense of fear. Frank, especially when you consider that we're talking about law-abiding citizens who apparently can no longer sleep peacefully at night. The police are supposed to ensure a good night's rest, not disturb it. While being taken care of by experts in a safe area may seem comforting, it still provides a fertile ground for potential future traumas. I don't want to immediately draw a comparison to a raid, but more caution would have been appropriate. But well, we are now under Code Orange, and apparently that's enough for the policymakers to allow such practices. I heard there was also an interview with a young mother from that neighborhood.
Picture this. It's a cold, dark night in the city of Den Bosch, the Netherlands. Suddenly, the quiet is shattered by the thunderous roar of helicopters overhead. The ground shakes with the stampede of military boots, and the air is filled with shouted commands. Amidst the chaos, the terrified cries of children and screams of mothers echo through the streets. In this maelstrom, we find Annie van Lanschot, a local woman clutching her 2 crying children. A reporter from Boschtian RTV, Roland Veldmo, approaches her for an interview. Roland begins, "Good evening, madam. Can you tell us what's happening right now?" Annie, shaken, replies, "It's not normal to wake up a person and his children at 2 in the morning with such a commotion." Roland presses on, "What happened and why?" Annie explains, "I was awakened by a lot of noise that started with helicopters and the sound of all those machines. I was scared and thought a plane had crashed or something, but now it appears they have arrested some guys and conducted a house search. I don't know everything because they don't tell you. They've transported us in buses in our pajamas to our destination, where beds and psychiatrists are ready to supposedly take care of us." Roland asks, "Have they told you why and where you're being taken?" Annie responds, "No, they didn't want to say. They say they're going to bring us to safety, but where they're taking us, they won't say. It's such a noise that you can hardly hear yourself. And then all that light, it's just scary. The waving of guns also makes you afraid to say anything." Roland inquires, "So they didn't tell you what's going on?" Annie replies, "No, but I have to go because they're calling me over there, so I'm going over there quickly. Goodbye." Roland signs off, and off she goes, boarding one of the buses with her 2 crying children. That was Annie van Lanschot's account of the large-scale police raid on a home here at Noorderplas. I'll try to speak to someone from the local authorities and report back in half an hour. This was Roland Veldmuis for Boschtian RTV, a dragon of a broadcaster. In a further discussion, EJ comments, "The account from our reporter sounds very disturbing." Ben responds, "I wouldn't call it that definitively. My team in the field kept constant contact with a crisis center we set up here in the provincial house. The police units present had ample instructions to act professionally in such situations." Frank asks, "Did you gain this knowledge during the riots on Grafswijk, where you closed off an entire district?" Ben answers, "No, this is going too far. These 2 matters are completely separate." Frank concludes, "I rarely leave things to chance." To sum up, we've heard firsthand from a resident, Annie, about the chaos and fear during a large-scale police raid. We've also heard from officials insisting on their preparedness for such situations. As always, the truth likely lies somewhere in between, and the search for it continues.
Does the end justify the means when it comes to the pursuit of justice? Let's delve into that today. Our guest today, Prosecutor Ben Bancher, recently held a press conference at the Provincial House where he addressed some critical questions concerning recent arrests and their implications. He promised to keep the citizens of SS Hertogenbosch updated on the developments via Boschtian RTV. Interviewer EJ asks, Mr. Bancher, can you enlighten us more about these recent cases and the actions taken by the police and judiciary over the past few weeks? Ben responds, this is a complex story, but I'll tell you what we know so far. It all started with a directive from the Minister of Justice. For months, they've been eyeing an organization suspected of planning an attack on a public target. The arrested suspects had been under intensive surveillance by the AIVD for months and were known from previous investigations. These two suspects already had connections with other organizations and were therefore closely monitored. EJ inquires, so are these real terrorists? Ben asks, what do you mean by that? EJ elaborates. Given previous arrests and trials against alleged terrorist organizations, the public prosecutor and the Minister of Justice have made some significant blunders. People who have never been convicted and against whom there was no concrete evidence are not the highlights of a campaign against terrorism. Frank adds, and then there's the deployment of heavy weaponry. Be honest, is the use of armored vehicles and combat helicopters really necessary to arrest two suspects? Ben explains, I can't say too much about this due to the ongoing investigation, but I can assure you that the action taken was very important for the support during this arrest. EJ asks, what can you tell us about this? Ben replies, all I can say is that there were indeed indications for such a responsible action. Especially the two suspects, AD and HD, were considered to be armed and dangerous. EJ inquires, can you tell us more about the two suspects? Frank asks, or is this the precursor to further arrests and will the same methods be used next time? Ben assures, I can assure you that such a deployment of materials and people was indeed justified, and that if we had conducted this in a different way, there would certainly have been casualties to regret. In summary, the quest for justice is often fraught with complexities and moral dilemmas. As we've learned from prosecutor Ben Bancher today, the actions of the police and judiciary are guided by a multitude of factors, including the severity of the crime, the potential threat to public safety, and the evidence at hand. While the methods employed may seem extreme to some, they are often deemed necessary by those tasked with maintaining law and order. As citizens, it's crucial for us to stay informed and ask the right questions. Until next time, stay vigilant and keep seeking the truth.
Have you ever wondered what motivates someone to step into the political arena? Is it a desire for power, a sense of duty, or perhaps a combination of both? Let's embark on a journey to discover what might drive an individual to engage in the complex and often contentious world of politics. Picture this. Tom, a man deeply invested in the political landscape of his country, sees his friend Frank being presented with an opportunity that makes Tom a bit envious. Not because he doesn't want Frank to succeed, but because he too craves to be at the forefront of the news where the action is happening. Frank, on the other hand, is a thorough researcher with a knack for seeing things from multiple perspectives. He's the kind of person who can go along with your line of thought, only to show you a different path to Rome. Frank could be a great politician, but his honesty could be his downfall. One morning, Tom and Frank agree to meet at cafe in the small world. Tom enters the cafe and there's Frank engrossed in his thoughts, staring out of the window. "Penny for your thoughts," Tom says, ordering 2 coffees. "That could make me a millionaire," Frank chuckles. Frank then shares his fascination with the people walking around the market every day. It's a sight that both of them find captivating, one that they could spend hours watching from the terraces. Perhaps it's their shared Burgundian genes, their love for good food, pleasant company, stimulating conversations, and delightful music. Interestingly, the locals have a unique way of expressing themselves. They're known to be boastful, even rude at times, yet they also appreciate culture and everything associated with it. So what's the takeaway from this tale? It's that politics isn't just about power or duty. It's about understanding people, their desires, their motivations. It's about being able to see things from different perspectives, just like Frank. And it's also about being honest, even if that honesty might lead to your downfall. In the end, stepping into the political arena requires more than just a desire for power or a sense of duty. It requires empathy, understanding, and a willingness to see things from different perspectives. And just like Frank, it requires the courage to be honest, even when honesty isn't the easiest path to take.
A cathedral stands tall and proud, a Gothic marvel in the heart of the Netherlands, the St. John's Cathedral. This towering edifice, the highest Catholic church tower in the country, reaches a height of 73 meters, its length stretching to 115 meters, its width 62 meters. A testament to architectural genius, it is a place where history, faith, and artistry intersect. Our protagonist, a skeptic, stands at the base of the cathedral's tower, an uneasy feeling creeping into his being. He likens the scene to something out of the book, The Da Vinci Code, imagining himself in the role of the doubting Thomas on a quest for the Holy Grail. He knows it's a flight of fancy, a whim of his imagination, yet he can't shake the feeling of uncertainty about his decision to come here. His friend Frank, noticing his hesitation, pulls him inside the cathedral. The interior of the church is where its grandeur truly unfolds. The enormity of the vaults and pillars and the vast expanse of space make one feel small, insignificant. This, of course, was the intention of the architects and patrons, to instill a sense of humility in the visitor. It's hard not to wonder about the feelings of ownership and usage of such a magnificent place. His eyes wander over the wooden benches as he walks down the central aisle. He searches for a glance or a sign from other visitors, something that would validate his sanity. He recalls the many times he visited the nativity scene as a child. The presence of taxidermied animals was a novelty then, a world-class attraction. Add to that the nocturnal ambience of the church, and you'd have a Disneyland in 's-Hertogenbosch. He passes a group of sisters or nuns near the Mary Chapel, elderly people admiring the immense pillars and numerous statues scattered throughout the church. Some lit candles in the chapel, murmuring prayers or simply standing in silence. The long rows of benches were filled with praying, chatting, pointing, photographing, but mostly interested individuals experiencing this impressive space in their own unique human way. Still deeply impacted, he approaches the spot mentioned by the apparition. He knows there is a high ceiling in the church where you can see a painting or drawing of an eye. According to urban legend, it is the eye of God, watching over his creation. As he cranes his neck upwards, a sense of dizziness washes over him, and yet he can't identify what the apparition could have meant. And so, the story leaves us in a place of mystery and introspection. Just like our protagonist, we are left to ponder the secrets that the St. John's Cathedral holds. Does it hold the eye of God, or is it merely a work of art? The answer remains elusive, a testament to the cathedral's enduring allure, a story that continues to unfold.
Can you imagine the sensation of an ethereal presence? An experience so profound that it feels like a silky black sheet descending upon you. This was the reality for Tom. As he stood within the sacred confines of an old church, his gaze wandering in search of his friend Frank. There was an almost palpable tension in the air as the nuns drew near, their approach reminiscent of the aforementioned black sheet, enveloping him in an eerie calm. A chill ran down his spine as he was taken into their midst, feeling the sensation of multiple hands gripping him, an icy wind swirling around him, and then darkness. Tom collapsed onto the cold stone floor, unconscious, only to awaken to the warmth of a woman's hand caressing his cheek. He found himself cradled in her lap, a sense of bliss washing over him as he gazed into her eyes. Her face was a picture of tranquility, stirring memories of his romantic escapades and tales of Snow White, Cinderella, and the Little Mermaid. It was as if he could hear her voice in his head, urging him to keep their encounter a secret from Frank. The phrase, "simplicity is beauty," whispered in his ear, sent an overwhelming emotion coursing through him. He surrendered to the moment, the warmth of her hand and her kind smile giving him a sense of serenity. Frank, noticing the congregation of nuns, quickened his pace, his concern evident as he questioned the women about Tom's state. Assured by Sister Carolina, who was trained in first aid, that Tom was recovering and merely fainted due to staring at the vaulted ceiling for too long, Frank turned his attention to his friend. As the women dispersed, Frank and Tom made their way out of the church into the sunny day, Tom still feeling a bit dizzy. They decided to recuperate at the heart of Brabant, a local watering hole where they could unwind and reflect on the day's events. Over a couple of beers, Frank dismissed the idea of the apparition, suggesting that Tom might have dreamt the whole thing. Yet Tom couldn't shake off the memory of the woman's voice. Had he really encountered her again? Should he reveal to Frank that she had spoken to him once more? As Tom grappled with his thoughts, the question remains, what did the woman mean by "simplicity is beauty"? Will Tom ever unravel the mystery behind his ethereal encounter? Only time holds the answers. Until then, the tale remains an enigmatic mystery, leaving us all in anticipation of what might happen next.